Hello and welcome to the news at 8. At the top of the news this half hour. The Health Ministry scales up capacity to contain Ebola cases with a containment facility in the frontier town of Chiboro. An additional 375 pilgrims jet into Banjul after fulfilling Islam's fifth pillar, prompting officials to qualify Hajj 2015 as a resounding success. Russian fighter jets found targets in the Syrian city of Homs shortly after President Bashar al-Assad acknowledged asking for help from Moscow. And regular Afghan soldiers backed by NATO special forces make a desperate push to retake the northern city of Kunduz from the Taliban. Those are your headlines. With me, MOMODOU. MOMODOU A. Jallo, press officer, Office of the President, has sent a message to the President, His Excellency Sheikh Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya A.J.J. Jammeh Babili Mansa, and the text reads, Your Excellency, sir, kindly allow me to congratulate you following the prestigious award which was given to the Gambia by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations in recognition of efforts made by your able government under your active and wise leadership in reducing malnutrition and undernourishment. Your Excellency, we are proud of you and your leadership. Under your wise and able leadership, the prevalence of undernourishment was reduced from 13.3% in 1990 to 92 to 6%. Mr. President, we cannot exchange you for money, neither can we exchange you for gold nor silver, but we'll continue rallying behind you and the APRC party, especially in view of the efforts you have made since you assumed the mantle of leadership from 1994 to date to keep hunger, poverty, malnutrition, and unemployment at bay. May God continue to bless you with perfect health, strength, and long life. Increase your wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Long live President Jammeh. Long live the entire APRC. The message ends. Despite the enviable gains made in the Gambia's drive to keep the Ebola virus at bay, health authorities are not lowering their guard. The Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Omar Sy, on Tuesday laid the foundation stone of an Ebola containment center at Chiboro border post. The intervention, as Ibrahim Jallo reports, is funded by the United Nations Development Program.
African nations have been directly or indirectly affected by the negative impact of the deadly Ebola virus, which broke out in few countries within the sub-region, including Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Liberia, where the disease claimed hundreds of lives since the outbreak of the virus. The terrible circumstance Ebola causes in affected countries has sent a direct signal to other nations within the sub-region on the need to prevent the virus from crossing their territorial borders. Owing to this fact, the Gambia government, through the Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, on Tuesday laid the foundation stone of an Ebola containment center at Jibora border point, thereby enhancing border surveillance in a bid to stop the disease from getting into the country. According to health officials, the project seeks to erect similar centers within 6 border posts across the country, bankrolled by the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, with support from the Japanese government at the tune of $10 million. The ceremony was presided by the Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Omar Sy, and this is what he had to say.
So what we are doing as a country is, and this is a directive I have from the President, when the Ebola outbreak came, the President told me the only thing that you can do, and I want you to do, is to ensure that the surveillance is reinforced and make sure the necessary measures are put in place in line with the International Health Regulations 2005, which we have agreed on. Now, what we did as a country is to have one national plan, and this national plan is all inclusive. Everybody participated, whether you are NGO, anywhere, we participate in the national plan, develop the plan, and cost it. And this is what we showed, because this is based on what we need as a country.
Yaya Jallo, who spoke on behalf of the Alcalde of Jiboro, Salif Seidi, welcomed the initiative while thanking government for its proactive efforts in the dispensation of primary healthcare services to the doorsteps of Gambians. Lady Council of Jiboro Ward Ashatu Nyasi and Service Chief Malek Njai all echoed similar sentiments. The project to be implemented by GAMWORKS is expected to finish by December 2015, with a view to safeguard the country from Ebola, despite the Gambia is still declared an Ebola-free nation. Ibrahim Jallo, GRTS News.
The officials of the Gambia International Airlines and those of the Office for Pilgrim Affairs have hailed the 2015 Hajj operations as a remarkable success. The verdict came after the third flight carrying 375 pilgrims touched down at the Banjul International Airport early Wednesday morning. Farmer Kanyi was there for Grts and he now reports.
So far, almost 75% of the pilgrims have safely landed in the country. It could be described as a tremendous work by the officials of the Gambia International Airlines and the Hajj Commission. The men and women who have gone on the third flight have reunited with their families. However, reports from the Amirul Hajj indicated that all Gambian pilgrims who have gone for the 2015 Hajj are safe and sound, except 2 who are still at large.
About 75% of the pilgrims are now in, not only accounted for, but are now in the Gambia. Now we're left with the fourth flight.
Dr. Abubakar Senghor explains that Hajj Commission officials and guides are doing all efforts possible to locate the 2 within Mecca before the final arrival on Friday.
The team, I spoke to the Amir a short while ago. The team on the ground are visiting hospitals. They are visiting all other isolated, remote areas, all areas where there's a probability of a pilgrim, being found. They are leaving no stone unturned. So alhamdulillah, so far so good. Only 2 are reported missing, and the site is being intensified. So 75% or more of the pilgrims with the 3 flights now within target. We're expecting the 4th flight, inshallah, on the 2nd of October.
Ibrahim Hassan Cham, Deputy Amirul Hajj, who is currently in the country, has told the state broadcaster that the Gambia has not encountered any casualty during the Hajj according to Saudi statistics, and believe that the 2 missing Gambians will be found in the shortest possible time. Those among the third flight have shared similar sentiments like their counterparts in the first and second about the country and its leadership. They all prayed for the continued peace and stability in the country. The last flight is expected to arrive on Friday, 2nd of October. Meantime, families are advised by the Gambia International Airline to follow the media for any developments. For GRCS News, I am Farmer Akani.
The Communication, Planning Services and Soil and Water Management units of the Ministry of Agriculture have received an assortment of valuable equipment from the Food and Agriculture Sector Development Project and Gambia Commercialization and Value Chain Management Project. We have more in this report by Buba SMCC.
Food and Agriculture Sector Development Project, FASTEP, and Gambia Commercialization and Value Chain Management Project, GCAF, are committed to complementing the efforts of the government in boosting the production of farmers and as well providing quality service delivery for the improvement of their livelihoods. The presentation of these items is a testament to that fact.
FASTEP is funded by the Global Agriculture and Food Security Program, GAPSIP, which is a multilateral mechanism to assist the implementation of pledges made by leaders of the G8 in Petersburg in 2009. Its purpose is to scale up support to help developing countries reduce poverty and improve rural livelihoods and food security by increasing agricultural productivity, linking farmers to market, reducing risk and vulnerability, improving non-farm rural households, and providing technical assistance.
The provision of communication gadgets to the Agriculture Communication Unit is to boost the quality of service. The coordinator of GCAF opined that the materials will undoubtedly improve the quality of production at the Communication and Extension Education Unit.
The equipment are to the tune of about $35,000 US. As you know, the GCAF project stands for Gambia Commercial Agriculture and Value Chain Management Project. And one of the main features of the project is that it is mainstream within the Ministry of Agriculture, so that you have a project team, but the implementation of the project lies within the service units within the Department of Agriculture. And that is deliberately chosen so that capacity, whatever is bought for the project, whatever the project does, remains within the service units, within the departments of the Ministry of Agriculture.
The Director General of Ministry of Agriculture, Dr. Sept, expressed gratitude for the gesture, assuring both FASDEB and GCAF of his ministry's commitment to utilizing the donated items.
I wish to sincerely thank, and from the bottom of my heart, thank the President of this country who made it possible and giving us the environment to be able to sit down, put heads together, and see what we believe would assist in helping the agricultural agenda forward. And be rest assured, every item that's been given here, you monitor, and I will assist you to monitor, and will give you feedback that they'll be put into good use.
Mr. Sarif Bojang, Permanent Secretary too, at the Ministry of Agriculture, stressed the need for proper utilization of the materials.
The arrival of these motorcycles and the survey equipments are timely, as we are working towards the realization of the visions that we have targeted ourselves to. That is the Vision 2020, Vision 2016, and even Vision 2025. These items are of high quality as per the technical specifications and are fit for the purpose intended for. Materials must be used for the intended purpose, and the users has to be very responsible in the upkeep of the materials.
It's expected that if the materials are properly utilized, reaching out to farmers to know their problems and map out ways of addressing them, and as well strengthening the arm of communication unit among a host of others, will soon be realized. Buba SMCC, GRTS.
Funds amounting to $100,000 earmarked for the renovation of Wasu Museum have been provided by Trust Bank Gambia Limited. The donation comes against the backdrop of feverish efforts on the part of institutions with a stake in tourism to turn the tide around after what was a less than desired tourist season. Kumaba tells us more.
Part of their support to the country's development agenda, Trust Bank Limited has presented a check for $100,000 to the Ministry of Tourism and Culture through the National Center for Arts and Culture. The financial assistance is meant for the refurbishment of the Wasu Museum in time for the 2015 tourist season. This donation demonstrates the bank's commitment to help preserve and promote the cultural heritage of the country.
Noting the support that we have received from this bank over the years, and I think a great reflection, if you will, of the commitment of Trust Bank to issues of culture and heritage in this country. It is quite refreshing and very telling for a bank that considers itself to be homegrown and home-owned to showcase this by choosing to have as its corporate image reflections of our cultural heritage. I think that in itself speaks volumes of the type of bank Trust Bank is.
Officials of the National Center for Arts and Culture applauded the move, recognizing the services of Trust Bank Limited. They hailed the bank for its support in the preservation and promotion of Gambian cultural heritage.
As early as 2007, just a year after the stone circles were declared UNESCO World Heritage Sites, the bank adopted the stone circles as a brand symbol in promotion of their credo, the truly Gambian bank. The circles were depicted in various Trust Bank products, including their annual audited accounts and billboards. This certainly helped to bring the circles closer to the public. In 2009, Trust Bank also supported the printing of thousands of glossy promotional brochures on the stone circles.
This is one among several interventions the bank has been rendering in ensuring sustainability of the Gambian's culture, which serve as a product of the country's diverse tourist attraction.
We are here to make a presentation of $100,000 to the NCAC for the refurbishment of the Wasu site for the upcoming 2015-2016 tourist season. Since our first intervention with the NCAC in, I guess it was in 2004, we have consistently been providing assistance to them where we feel it is necessary for us to intervene.
Given their numerous roles in the development of the tourist sector in the Gambia, the senior marketing manager at Trust Bank Limited explains the reason behind the donation.
You see the Trust Bank crew come for presentations of this nature. It's normally to intervene in the areas of education, health, disaster relief, and sport, which happens to be our priority areas of intervention, to partner, because we know that no government in the world can finance all aspects or all sectors of our environment or the development areas that the country has.
This intervention is expected to improve efforts to preserve the Wasustone Circle Museum and enhance the realization of the set goals before the 2015-2016 tourist season. Kumbaba, Grts News.
14 communities are set to receive funds to implement community-driven projects. This after going through a rigorous process that saw a staggering 112 grassroots organizations bidding to benefit from the Ambassador's Special Self-Help Grant. An NGO that is said to have the ability to produce concrete results has always been awarded a Juliet Taft Refugee Fund Grant. Janke Ture reports.
The signing ceremony of two grant programs, the Ambassador Special Self-Help Fund and Julia Taft Refugee Fund project, represent in a small but meaningful way the embassies and the U.S. government's commitment to working with the people of the Gambia in poverty alleviation, community development, and sustainable livelihood improvement. 14 communities throughout the Gambia were awarded the Ambassador Special Self-Help Grant, which in turn is expected to fund selected projects. The beneficiaries are mainly community-driven projects chosen out of 112 submitted proposals, and believe that they will significantly impact the lives of beneficiaries.
These projects have made it possible for many women to reduce the number of hours spent on hard labor just to feed their families, and have allowed them to spend more time on other income-generating activities. This, in turn, has provided more food for families and greater access to education for children. I feel certain that your communities, too, will experience similar benefits.
The Julia Taft Refugee Fund is designed to help people fleeing conflict and building new lives in their adopted countries. This, according to Mark Sau, is meant to complement the efforts that Julia Taft had pioneered in supporting individuals and families fleeing the conflict in Casamance.
Previous projects funded by Julia Taft have supported individuals and families fleeing the conflict in Casamance and hosted by Gambian families across the Gambian-Senegalese border. The Refugee Commission of the Gambia has registered over 11,000 refugees in 81 communities along the border, and these are people who survive primarily on subsistence farming. Supporting a large refugee population through communities or individual families exacerbates already strained infrastructure and resources.
With increased community intervention through participatory development initiative, the projects are valuable life-changing development programs, which is expected to impact on the lives of Gambians, particularly those in the rural communities. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Lands and Regional Administration, thanked the U.S. Embassy for implementing such an important project, adding that it is not only important to the community, especially in the rural communities, but a meaningful contribution to nation development.
The Ambassador's Self-Help Program started in the Gambia quite a while, and since inception, it has motivated and assisted our communities in trying to alleviate their poverty and also uphold their economic status as farmers, as Gambians, as women.
Among other speakers included Guarantees representatives who jointly thanked the U.S. Embassy for helping them with such a facility.
Indeed, it is historic in the sense that the document we have just signed is binding us, and we are into partnership to implement activities that will benefit the people that we work for.
This development is a demonstration of the embassy's and the U.S. government's commitment to working with the people of the Gambia on community development issues and also helping transform the lives of refugees in the Gambia. Reporting for GRTS News, I am Janke Toure.
News from outside the Gambia is up next. Stick with us. Welcome back. Russian airplanes have started airstrikes in Syria. The attacks were carried out near the city of Homs, shortly after the Syrian president announced he had requested military assistance from Moscow. Russian lawmakers have given unanimous backing for the airstrikes. We have more in this DWTV report.
These are Russia's planes in Syria, secretly filmed by a French television crew. Now it seems they're in the sky, flying missions against Islamic State positions in Homs province. A U.S. official said they had been informed of an active operation just a few hours after the Russian upper house of parliament had granted the necessary permission. We are talking about Syria. The point at issue is not any wider ambition, as our Western partners regularly claim. We are talking about an airborne operation only. Ground operations are out of the question. The Russian presence in Latakia is no secret. The town is a stronghold of President Bashar al-Assad. I saw Russian airplanes. Everyone's talking about it, but no one has seen soldiers in the streets. We are happy the Russians are fighting with us. We count on them to finish off the rebels quickly. If reports of airstrikes are confirmed, things have been moving fast. Russian parliamentary approval, Assad asking for military help, and action, all within a few hours.
NATO special forces are supporting the Afghan army as it battles the Taliban in the northern city of Kunduz. The push to retake the city has been hampered by roadside bombs, and government reinforcements have been ambushed. For those living in the region, the situation is critical. Let's take a look at this DWTV report for more on that.
The fight for Kunduz is intensifying as weary Afghan soldiers dig in, waiting for reinforcements. Around 5,000 troops took positions at the city's airport, driving back Taliban fighters, only with the help of NATO airstrikes. The situation is better now. As you're aware, some areas have been retaken by security forces. The operation is ongoing. We retook the new police headquarters, the jail, and some parts of the city. We have a presence in the city now. But back in the capital, Kabul, lawmakers are calling on President Ashraf Ghani to resign. Many blame him for what they consider a shameful response to the fall of Kunduz, the Taliban's most audacious attack since losing power 14 years ago. The leaders of the Afghan National Unity Government are unable to control the current situation in the country. The people must stand against them. Why should they be allowed to govern the people? And sentiment against Ghani is growing among female lawmakers. They gathered outside Parliament, supporting calls for him to leave office. We don't want to hear more lies. The government keeps telling us that we're sending troops, but it's almost 72 hours that people inside the city have been suffering without food, water, or electricity. Children and women are starving inside the city. Afghan forces have struggled to hold off a revitalized Taliban since the departure of foreign troops last year. Whether they can take back Kunduz now is anything but certain. The fight for Kunduz is intensifying as
We'll go for another break, but when we return, we have the weather report for you. Welcome back. Let's now take a look at the weather report courtesy of the Central Forecast Office.
Everything as you know it starts here. That simple promise of a harvest after planting is nature's service to the community that you and I are a part of. We carry on bonding and sharing because the feeling to serve is mutual. But that promise between us, the sun and the land, is what gives us the hope to carry on. And as it was in the beginning, we started with a belief to serve. Elton, a new vision of service.
Good evening, viewers, and welcome to the weather forecast. A variable cloudy with rain showers and thunderstorms affected the country, and the rainfall figures are as follows. Basa recorded the highest with 39.7 millimeters, Kerawan 27.4 millimeters, Ganjambure 26.5 millimeters, Kour 12 millimeters, Banjul 9.2 millimeters, Sapo 8 millimeters, Sibano 5.5 millimeters, Banjul 4.1 millimeters, and Fototo 2 millimeters. Satellite picture indicate convective cloud over the Gulf of Guinea and Central Africa. Tonight, the weather is expected to be variably cloudy and humid with isolated rain showers and thunderstorms. While for the day tomorrow, the weather is expected to be variably cloudy in the morning, becoming partly cloudy and warm in the afternoon. Surface wind will be southwesterly and northeasterly in direction, and the speed will be about 5 to 10 kilometers per hour. Minimum temperatures across the country will be 25 degrees Celsius over the Greater Banjul, while the rest will either be 24 or 23 degrees Celsius warm. And for the maximum temperatures will be 32 degrees Celsius over the Greater Banjul and Lower River, 34 over West Coast and North Bank, and 33 over Central and Upper River region. Low tide will be 0.1 meter at 6 a.m. and also at 6 p.m. High tide will be 1.8 meter at 12 a.m. and 1.9 meter at 12 p.m. Wave will be about 0 to 1 meter southeasterly swells. The sun will rise at 8 minutes to 7 in the morning and set at 18:58 in the evening. We thank you for watching and good night.
That was the weather report by Ami Cham from the Central Forecast Office. And before we take leave of you, a recap of the day's major stories. The Health Ministry has scaled up capacity to contain Ebola cases with a containment facility in the frontier town of Chiboro. An additional 375 pilgrims have jetted into Banjul after fulfilling Islam's fifth pillar, the Hajj, prompting officials to qualify Hajj 2015 as a resounding success. Russian fighter jets have been pounding targets in the Syrian city of Homs shortly after President Bashar al-Assad acknowledged asking for help from Moscow. And regular Afghan soldiers backed by NATO's special forces are making a desperate push to retake the northern city of Kunduz from the Taliban. Well, that was all in this edition of the news at 8. Thanks for the pleasure of your company. Join us at 10 o'clock again for more news.